Hello, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Submitted for Your Approval, our weekly card review show for Collective, the community-created card game. I'm Stranger Side. Grief, sadly, could not be with us today. He had something come up. He didn't really tell me what. We wish him the best. I am, however, joined by my co-panelist, Empty Folder.
Hello, everyone.
And today we have a special guest with us here who has never been on the show. He's a good alpha player, realm admin for Tutela, Bonk Choi. Say hi, Bonk.
Hello.
So yeah, without any further ado, let's just jump straight into this with Absolute Storm. Absolute Storm is a 2-drop mind action from nowhere in particular, although there is a vote on the sub to get it added to Osagarth, given the theming. Spend your remaining mana, deal that much damage to all units. So this is interesting in a couple ways, and I feel like we had to talk about this. First of all, it's an absolute card in the vein of absolute unit, absolute fire, absolute scaling, and this is kind of like continuing a tradition. And also in the post-rotation environment, this is going to be a good board clear for mind. And what's particularly interesting about this one is that it's a damage-based board wipe. But it, of course, in the vein of the absolute cards, it scales. So at 4, this is as good as Lightning Surge is, except for Lightning Surge's other writer. And then beyond 4, this can get a lot better potentially, depending on what you need to wipe out. So I think this offers a good control tool and it'll be really important to talk about going forward. How do you feel about this card, Empty?
I think this is an awesome card. I'm really happy that this is the board clear we got in mind that they're going to be running, because it's very interesting to play around this card, because it does, as the person playing it, it is always going to spend your mana. So you can't develop units after you play this card.
Yeah.
Which gives your opponent a chance to, be the first one to develop units on the board. And then maybe next turn get some damage through since you weren't able to develop anything. Really cool card.
Yeah, or of course you could get really clever with maybe some, not coins, but maybe some really cheap stuff to see if you could stall this out as late in the turn as possible and have this be the last thing you play, depending on what the board looks like, of course. Empty, your video went out. Bonk, what do you think of this?
I mean, there ain't much to say about this. This is just a very good card that was pretty well needed.
Yeah.
You could feed the starving children in Africa with this card,
Yeah. Ooh, I think we might have some technical difficulties with Empty. Let's hope he works that out. There we go. He's back. Okay. And of course, the other one we're talking about, which is a very important kind of staple into our new meta going forward, is Meltdown. Meltdown is a 3-drop strength action from Terradar, which is now it aged up. It hit age 1 with this. So you deal 8 damage to a unit and you take the excess damage. So this is a really good, potentially powerful damage-based single target removal in strength. Kind of veers away from what strength had been doing up until this point, as far as I know. But it is kind of interesting how it does it, and it basically functions in a lot of cases like a hard removal spell, which is what justifies doing it through the damage. But this could potentially be the cheapest removal for really, really large things, and so that's really cool. So I don't know how I feel about the whole damage-based removal and strength, but I think this is a really interesting card. What do you think about it, Bonk?
I mean, why would there not be damage removal outside of mine? Because it's something pretty well necessary.
So you like the card? You think you think this is going to see play in multiplayer?
I mean, why would it not?
Yeah. What do you think, Empty?
Yeah, so the reason I picked this card is because if you're going to do targeted damage in strength, this is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's in a way that's interesting and still fits into strength's themes with self-damage.
Yeah.
And or using life as a resource.
And in that respect, it does feel very strength. And so I do like that. I think that's That's probably about the best way you can go about and go around doing it. And yeah, like you said, it does play into existing themes and stuff. So yeah, I expect to see this in multiplayer. Okay, and the Bursting Blight. I do believe we talked about this, but now it's in the game, of course, so we have some more to talk about. Bursting Blight is a 1-drop neutral 1/1 ooze from Mortstall, Realm of the Dead Things, with Agile and Entomb draw a unit that costs 1 or less. So we talked about this a little bit last week. Bonk, did you have anything to add?
Ah, yes. The reincarnation of Barlock.
Yeah, Perlock, basically.
And in neutral.
And in neutral. Good point. But do you have anything, I mean, did you have anything else to add beyond what our discussion was like last week on this card? Or?
I mean, I like that it is neutral and has Agile for Heldim.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and it's we talked about that, how it was a 1/1 Agile for Heldim.
I mean, I will not complain because I actually like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first to say I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't really like how like there's this 1 mana card that's significantly better if you do draw it turn 1 versus any other turn in the game, because it gets you that extra XP assuming your opponent doesn't have a ping.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this thing's gonna see a ton of play. Perlock was really good. This is really good. It's reincarnation of Perlock, like Bonk said.
Yeah, so let's jump straight into the active submissions, starting with probably one of my favorite submissions of the week. Avon Basil is a plant scientist is a 5-drop spirit, 2/6 plant scientist from Mentera, and a legendary. Ambush, leap, summon, create, sow the seeds in hand. Whenever you gain 3 or more HP, give your plants +1/+1, and Entomb, create a Basil Sprout and play. Sow the Seeds is a 5-drop neutral with create 3 1/1 plant copies of an ally unit. And Basil Sprout is a 1-drop neutral 0/2 plant with, at the start of your turn, transform this into Von Basil. So, what does the whole package look like together? First of all, stunning art, really cool from Amnek. A very, very good flexible plant lord. Of course, however, the one thing we definitely got to talk about is why it's only sitting at 4 on the sub. And that is because it might have some power balance issues, I think, probably. Of course, this is from Sporium Corium, who has a thing of like not getting the balance, but I absolutely love his designs. Are really cool and really creative. I think honestly the biggest problem right off the bat is you could use Sow the Seeds on Von Basil to get all of your units to where they're gonna like scale like really, really, really strongly every single time you gain HP. And that alone creates a potential, even though they're 1/1s, they're not 1/1s for very long. And I think that creates what's potentially a big problem. Beyond that, I really hope that they find some way to get this to work so that this can get in, because it's a really interesting idea. What do you think about this, Empty?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's too strong. It's also very annoying to fight against for some decks, since it's basically invincible in combat. Since if it dies in combat at the start of the turn, like it's gonna turn into Basil Sprout, and then you're just gonna get it back. And then that problem is like even worse when you play Sow the Seeds, and now you have 3 1/1 copies of this, and your opponent just like can't attack because they're gonna turn the 1/1 copies into 2/6 copies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very strong.
It's just
and it really shuts down a lot of decks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think probably as far as like fixes go, maybe having the Basil Sprout, you could put it on an active to slow it down a little bit, but probably a paid active to turn it back into Von Basil would fare that part of the immortality problem up. But beyond that, I really don't know how to solve the problem of Sow the Seeds and this whole scaling thing without getting rid of one or the other. And I think probably the scaling thing is a little bit too much. Or maybe just having Sow the Seeds not being able to target Basil himself. That could possibly be a solve. I'm not sure. Bonk, what do you think of this design?
As for Basil himself, in terms of the show problem, just keep him untargetable. As for the show seats, I am thinking not of Basil, but of Green Man.
Oh, Green Man. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of this. With Green Man, this is nuts. And he's a green man, so you would think I should have thought of that.
So
Yeah,
you grow a larger and larger Green Man.
Yeah. But I don't want to say that just Green Man, the existence of Green Man prevents the existence of this kind of card.
Oh no,
like
it does
to-
not. That is
Well-
not what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that there's a way to get them both to kind of balance out. I just don't know what exactly that way is.
And the Sprout. Good joke. Honest, this is not living.
Yeah, I think the Sprout need. Do you think a paid active would work for the Sprout?
I mean, considering it is not even at this it is currently not living, so why make it worse?
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I don't have a fix in mind. Well, I have a couple partial fixes, but I think the reason why this is doing is it's just way too sticky. It's just gonna be a nightmare to anybody who's trying to really like play around this, and it's just too good because of that. So I'm gonna move on to Storm Conjurer, which is a 3-drop mind 1/4 Arcanist, typeless or non-racial type Arcanist from nowhere in particular. Just a thing, just a guy. When you play an action, gain attack this turn equal to its mana cost. So this is from Entropic Mage, and you guys know I'm a sucker for good art, and I think Entropic Mage does these really cute designs. This is of his dude series. He does his natures, and then he does his dudes. This is one of his dudes. And this is like a mana might, but more problematic, but less problematic because it doesn't have the advantage of really going wide in any way, shape, or form. But basically, this is in an action spam. This is a way to get a unit that's attack is as big as however many cards you cast this turn, which might end up being basically as big as what your mana is. And so I think is this problematic or is this too weak because it's in the end it's just one really powerful attacker that you can just chump block? Bonk, what do you think?
I think it is fine. I mean, it could probably use overrun, but other than that, nothing design.
Okay, so you would go with the overrun. That was one thought I had, yeah. I do wish it had a little bit. I mean, with the art going on here, I really wish that. And Entropic isn't kind of the one to really participate in the Discord a lot, so I could see why it doesn't have. Or I kind of wish it had some more stuff going on in the type line, like flavor wise, or maybe some other synergies for it to go off like human or something like that. But I get it. I get it kind of how it is. I think it might be too simple. That might be why it's not doing so well. I don't know though. Empty, what do you think?
I absolutely agree with Bonk. I think it needs overrun.
Yeah.
Like you have to put a lot of work in to this to get it up to even a vanilla stat line, which would be a 3-mana 4/4. And then like the current version, it's so easy to chump block.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It just needs something to make it so that I could actually, you can't just send a bunch of 1/1s at it and then solve the problem. But yeah, I do agree that it's about balance. Probably overrun might be all it takes to fix this. We'll see. So let's talk about, oh boy, we're having some issues, folks. There we go. Fixed it. Temporal Setback is a 1-drop mind action from nowhere in particular with bounce a unit and return it to play at the end of the turn. So I am a big fan of bounce cards, bounce designs, summon or entrance. That's a big thing for me as like a Magic the Gathering player that kind of transferred over to Collective. I think this one is really, really interesting and kind of an interesting way to tackle it. It's obviously reminiscent of like Vanishing Act, in a way, but of course the thing is in your hand, so it's a lot more interactive and maybe even more synergistic than some of the bounce designs we've had before. And I think the problem might be that it's kind of pulling in too many different directions at once, because like as an enemy bounce, this is probably good. I don't know. It's a little bit hard to evaluate in terms of like existing cards, and I think that's part of why it's not doing so well, but it's kind of hard to say. Excalibur I think the art is a little simple and could maybe use some polish, but the flavorful package, it promises so much with like the name and the flavor text that like I wish there was more going on with it to kind of balance that out. Like this could be a great Tutela card maybe, or something like that. Empty, what do you think of this?
I think it's a bit weak.
Yeah.
Like you said, using on enemy units isn't that good a lot of the time, because a lot of the time it's just going to be 1 mana exhaust a unit. And honestly, it's going to be worse than that sometimes, because like if it's in their hand, they can like discard it, or if it has a summon, they can play it again and potentially get extra value out of it. So that's not really that great. And then using on your own units, it's just worse Vanishing Act.
Yeah.
And Vanishing Act was okay, but it wasn't really that great, and it lost a lot of its synergy points, rotation. So
do you
I
think
think
the
it'll struggle to find a home.
problem is where it sits with like card advantage wise, that it needs to either rebound or draw a card or something like that? Or what do you think?
Rebound would definitely be one way to fix it. That would bring it closer in line to Vanishing Act.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if this needs to cost less or rebound or something. I think fixing the card advantage issue is probably what it needs to do, but I'm not sure. Bonk, what do you think?
What I think is, have you thought about bouncing a unit, play it again, sacrifice the unit, and then it will come back at the end of the turn because of the effect?
Yeah, that was my thought about it, is the way it seems to indicate is it returns to play from wherever on Earth it was.
Yeah.
Which could lead to some really interesting interactions later down the line. And for that reason, I think it's got a lot of potential, but it's kind of hard to say.
What I will do is simply make it neutral, really.
Make it neutral?
Yes.
That is an interesting thought. I feel like it kind of goes against like the flavor profiles kind of are of like bounce and stuff. Like not even affinity identities, just like it feels blue effect wise. But I could see maybe what you're saying there. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a little. It needs a little bit more in the flavor department. It's a little too simple in that respect right now. And yeah, it needs to fix something with its card advantage. I'm not sure about the neutral thing myself, but Bonk thinks it's a good idea.
I think it would still need Rebound if we're neutral. Rebound and neutral, though, that's a card that I would be interested in playing. That seems like it could lead to some really cool decks.
Yeah. Okay. Fortuno the House, part of the Wonderstar Casino revival, is a 6-drop mine 4/4 demon from Wonderstar Casino. Agile, unblockable, and create Fortuno's sleeve if you don't already have it. Then put your hand into the sleeve and draw 3 cards. When this attacks, put a card in your opponent's hand into the sleeve and make it neutral. Fortuno's sleeve is a 1-drop neutral card action. Play a card in the sleeve by paying its mana cost, and when this changes zones, return this to your hand. So we got here this really sticky action that lets you pay a 1 mana premium to play a whole bunch of different cards. Really hope you were keeping track of what cards you have there in the sleeve, because you're not really going to have any sort of reminder. But this does let you get a quick little bit of card advantage and a little bit of card theft that will basically persist as a treasure for the rest of the game. So this is kind of playing this is kind of like a quest/emblem effect from Magic, and I think that's really neat. Bonk, what do you think of this design?
First of all, I like his stamp. As for the card itself, it is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's got a lot of just neat interactions and different things you can do with it potentially, and yeah, it's got a lot going on, as all legendaries do. That 1 mana premium on the cards that were in your hand, though, kind of does bring some interesting stuff to light. Like, I understand why it doesn't cost 0. I don't think it could cost 0 reasonably. But it does make it so it increases the cost of a lot of cards in your hand by 1. But you get 3 new cards. So I do like how there's sort of an interesting like trade-off at play here. What do you think, Empty?
This card looks nuts to me. Like, for starters, like you are putting your hand in the sleeve, which makes it cost a bit more, but it also refills you 3 cards.
Yeah.
So if you're running like a mid-range or aggressive deck where you can just dump a good portion of your hand before this comes down, that's not really going to be a problem. And then on top of that, like the attack effect that this has is absolutely insane because you're like it's targeted hand removal every turn that you then get to play. Also, another thing that's interesting in KM, as soon as you play this, you have free fuel for your actives for the rest of the game because you can just banish the sleeve every time and it always comes back to your hand.
No, yeah, that is nuts. I feel
and
like that
KM, of course, can get the mine discount and drop this early so that you can start looting your opponent's hand. I mean, I think this card will be really strong in KM.
Yeah, if exclusive isn't for cases like these, what's it for? I think this might need to get patched. Even if it gets in, it might need to get updated. Because, like, totally being able to, like, ignore a hero's weakness is pretty severe. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, that is KM for you.
Well, yeah, but KM is supposed to have a weakness, guys. Heroes need a weakness. Affinities need weaknesses. These are important.
I mean,
I think if you
what
make
weakness
it
is a
exclusive,
hero meant to have?
strong.
Yeah. Well, KM has to banish stuff, right? Has to pay into the thing.
She gets a stuff to banish whenever she levels up. And she only has to banish 2 cards to level up.
Well, yeah,
and
but
every
then
single brilliance is OP with her.
I don't know.
There is nothing bad about her.
So yeah, I'm actually in regards to this card and its interactions with KM, I'm gonna join the crowd and go KM bad. I'm a little worried about this in that context. But I do think it's really interesting and pretty bonkers.
I think it's still too strong in just any mind deck.
It's probably a bit too strong.
So
I don't know what's to be done about it, but Dunewalker Nightcaster is a 3-drop mine 1/4 fee 1 for Mirage with Agile, and your units can only be blocked by enemy units directly across from them.
Before you even say anything, this works perfectly.
It does. Okay, I will actually go ahead and say that.
Action.
So we talked about this last time and how this can be very confusing for players who are still trying to learn the game. Your opponent's board is mirrored from what their perspective of it would be, and so the things line up exactly the way you would expect them to. The problems with this is it's very, very confusing to understand how adding a unit to the field will change the relative positions in the lineup. And it's something that no other card in the game calls for you to care about.
I wonder why.
Because it's confusing, and I think it shouldn't happen. Super Sun and I have had this fight already. I know I'm going to get another angry DM on Discord after this, but I think this card is like Babel scale level of bad because it is potentially very confusing and requires you to pay attention to something no other card in the game does. Bonk, what do you feel about this card?
I totally have a felt of this card and out the blocking. So, for example, if 2 units and 1, that unit can block both of them, but not vice versa.
Wait, you can have it where 2... Yeah. You have
the best way you can describe the effect is You know that that has a single player adventure Crash Hand where you have to play with chess? That is exactly how it works like.
Yeah.
So ironically, the best way to describe this card is by taking something from another game and having a taste of it.
I'm having a bit of a problem understanding you, Bonk. Can you kind of?
That's the usual.
But so are you agreeing with my assessment that this can get confusing, at least?
I already called Super as a wizard, so I have nothing else to state.
Okay. MP, what do you think of this?
Yeah. So I'm conflicted on this card because, like you said, it is extremely confusing, and I completely agree. Like, this is going to cause really confusing board states, and like you're not going to be really sure what's happening with it sometimes. However, on the flip side, it creates really fun and interesting gameplay, and I'm really for that. And I'd like this direction for Dunewalkers because they need some evasion. So
Yeah.
it's like, which one is more important?
Yeah, I'm always in favor of being able to immediately understand what ramifications a card has on gameplay. And for that reason alone, I can't, in good conscience, upvote this card. But I do understand that I understand what the card was trying to accomplish, and I am 100% behind that goal. But I'm not for the level of moral atrocity that needed to be committed to achieve it. Apparently, right? Like, I just think this is going too far to achieve what I think is a very noble goal. This kind of reminds me of like stuff. Magic did a card in the really, really early days that had a river, and
I love that card.
It split the board into two pieces, and stuff on one side can only block stuff on the other side. Like, maybe doing something like that could be the fix for Dunewalkers. I don't know. But as is, it's a very high complexity bar, and it adds way too much going on at 3 mana. But hey, guys, apparently the sub disagrees with us because it's sitting at 16. So we will see what this nightmare does when it actually maybe eventually gets in.
I mean, it is a cool effect, so I can see why it is doing well.
Yeah.
And it is completely functional, which is impressive for me.
It's very impressive. Well, and that should be the indication, right, Super Sun? This card does something that blocks are not supposed to allow you to do. If you have
talking
to
with the man that made a strategist. Back when it did work, that card.
Yeah, if you have to work that hard, maybe you should ask yourself why you're doing it, though, is what I'm saying. But anyways, I'll deal with the angry comments later. Charity is whoa. Pretty art is pretty. Charity is a 4-drop spirit 4/4 angel from the 7 Heavenly Virtues. With untargetable flying and summon, your opponent draws 2 cards and you gain HP equal to their hand size. So I don't know anything about this artist, but man, do I like that. I like the sort of the backstabby gift where you're drawing 2 and then gaining HP. The package feels a little weird to me. I don't understand why everything was put where it was put. Like, in terms of why this has evasion, why this has evasion and protection, why all that's in spirit. The summon effect, so the parts that really click in my eyes are that clicks with the art, and the summon effect clicks with the name. But as to whether or not the whole thing clicks together, I'm a little unsure. And you guys are free to, of course, disagree with that. But I do like this idea, and it's sitting at okay on the sub, so we might get another flyer in spirit, and Stranger gets to be a little sad, and everyone else rejoices. So there's that. Empty, what do you think?
Yeah, I love this card. This package, like all together, it's like the perfect card for a thought suppressor deck or like some sort of hand block Dralog style deck. Because you're giving your opponent cards and you're getting a bunch of HP back so that you can just sort of wait with the units they have, whatever they have on board, and just let it hit you because you're not going to die. And then you have this untargetable flyer that's going to be chunking your opponent down while you keep them locked up. I think this is a great card, and like this whole package fits together to make it an awesome card for that deck.
Okay, so now that you're giving me a context, I understand kind of what package we might run this with, and yeah, that does seem interesting. Thought Suppressor is that the Drowlog?
Yes,
Yeah.
the one that removes mana when
So then I
people
guess
draw.
the question is, why aren't we seeing this in, say, Mind, right? Where I would have less problems with it.
Well, then you're putting it, no matter where, that's the problem with affinity identities. Because no matter where you put this, you're breaking some rule. Because if you put this in Mind, well, Mind can't have HP yet. Oh no, affinity
It's
identity
enemy
doesn't
HP
work.
gain. It's not gaining
No,
you
you
any
gain
HP.
it.
Oh,
You
it
are
is
the
giving
one
you
gaining.
HP. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm really tired today. I have not slept. So yeah, you're right. HP gain, untar. Okay, flying. Now, okay, you guys are making sense to me. Sorry, I had just a brain glitch there. Bonk, what do you think of this design?
Good stats for the cost and good effect for the cost as well.
No.
It is a pretty good mid-range card.
Yeah. Okay. Let's jump on over to the Daybreaker, which is a 4-drop strength 5/3 dragon from Tutela with Duelist and Attune. Both players have +4 mana next turn. That is interesting. Is this, whose picks are we on at the moment? Is this the end of?
We're in my pick still.
Okay, this is the end of your picks. I'll let you talk first on this one.
Yeah, it's a strange card.
Yeah.
I know some people don't really care that like there's wings in the art and it doesn't have flying. I think it's a little weird because
Yeah.
like it, like visually, just you should be able to look at the art and tell, oh, that thing has flying. The other problem is like this needed flying. It's really weak in its current form. It needed to be able to get some damage in. And like it's very easy to remove. And the other issue is like you're pushing both players to late game basically for one turn. Dragons don't actually have the best late game. A lot of decks, their late drops are just better than dragons. And I think a lot of the time you're going to end up giving your opponent more of an advantage than yourself with this.
Yeah, and the other thing is like if you're trying to like set this up as like if you want to do, if you're playing this on 4, you want to do this on turn 5 or 6, you don't always have control over whether or not that happens on turn 5 or 6. And so
that is technically what the Duelist is for, but like sometimes your opponent's going to remove it the turn you play it.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
And so that kind of like gives you this situation of like, oops, there goes my combo. Where it's like, not only are you giving up the advantage that you had with your whatever setup you were gonna do, gonna drop a big bomb or whatever, but now you flipped it on its head where your opponent is now comboing off your card. Which is a different kind of bad. For that reason, honestly, I almost wish like the stats were flipped or something, because getting it outside the range of like heavier damage removal would be maybe more interesting. And for the love of God, JTAD, come on. You draw these dragons, you establish their identities, okay? And you say the green ones don't get flying, which I thought was a great idea because people know how I feel about that. Then you draw this big guy and you just forget to put the word on there. Come on. You're the dragons guy. You and BGG whenever he's around. Anyways, Bonk, what do you think of this design?
You guys are really overthinking it. You do not play this for some combo. You play this as a tempo play. Because if your opponent is movable on it, well then you are having more mana next turn, and so is he. So it getting removed should not be much of a problem. And if it does not, well, you also get 5 damage on top of it.
Yeah, but I mean that potential, you as a tempo play, I see what you're saying, but the potential downside of giving your opponent 4 mana and then but also not being able to control when that happens very precisely is dangerous. Is what my counter argument is there.
And this is why you research that you also get a huge benefit from it, even if your opponent does so as well.
Yeah.
For example, you play
So
on initiative.
I guess I get what you're saying. Is whenever you're doing this, you need to be prepared to have 8 mana on turn 5. You can't really set this up, or you should be prepared to not be able to set this up for like a bigger play later. Is basically what you're saying. And I sort of agree with that assessment. As is, I just think in general the card is a little weak for what it does. I think it needs flying. I think it needs something else. It definitely needs flying because of the art.
I mean, if Dragons had like a better late game, I think this could work. The issue is like if you play this and like you play your big dragon finisher and your opponent plays like Menace, Pharaoh's Sickle, like you're just gonna lose that game because their late drop is way better than yours was.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm in KM and my I'm waiting for them to. I'm gonna set this up with Absolute Storm on do the initiative play, expecting them to drop their big thing and just Absolute Storm the whole board.
If this is getting played somewhere outside of a strength, that is going to be in spirit, and that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh well, I was just saying that like your layup could really just be draw out their big thing and kill it, right? And that's a decent layup with this, actually. Because that's actually a kind of an interesting mind game play. So Amnesia Arcanist is a 3-drop mind 1/2 Databorn Arcus from Mortstall, Realm of the Dead Things, and now the Data Things. With summon and active, counter the next card your opponent plays this turn, return it to hand, and silence it. Am I crazy for thinking this is way too powerful?
Not really.
Okay. Because like I understand what the idea is here. This is like a recurrable version of the Neon Canine Trails where it's like, okay, I'm gonna set this up with a 1-drop, and then I'm just gonna keep throwing that 1-drop in front of it and using it as attacks. But in the late game, I feel this just gets so exponentially better when you can just like, oh great, well now I have nothing to throw at it except my big plays, and now I'm just stuck. Or you can combo this off with any sort of hand disruption and create a lot of problems with it. Flavor-wise, this is great. There was another version that used this art, or another card that used this art that I thought was really neat. And I like what Cornmeal's going forward and doing with these Databorn, basically filling in the remaining faction for the remaining affinity in Mortstall. And the Databorn so far look really interesting and really quirky, which is really cool. But I'm worried about the power level on this one, guys. What do you think, Bonk?
Honestly, the best it could do is give it plus 1 HP and remove the silence. Mostly because the silence also works on actions.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think basically what this does in a lot of cases is just serves as like a 1 or 2 tax on every single card, or on the first card you play each turn, which is, and makes you get rid of whatever card you have that's now silenced. But like, I don't know, with the other kind of tools you could use to disrupt this and make this even better, it's worrisome. What do you think, Empty?
Yeah, so the issue I have with this card is sort of the same issue I had with Canine Trails, although to a bit of a lesser extent, which is that this is very inconsistent. Because if your opponent has, like you said, like just some 1-cost unit, or maybe like they have a 0-cost card.
A lucky coin.
Yeah, if they have a coin. When your opponent plays this, you're just going to play that and then just keep it in your hand to negate the active for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then like this is pretty bad. But then in the other situation where your opponent doesn't have any of those things, they have like 4 or 5 drops and then their late game cards. Like they're not going to be able to play anything until they like draw something that costs less. So it can be extremely powerful if you're in that situation, which I think is kind of an issue with it.
I think, and kind of the argument against your argument there, which I'm not making, but I'm just kind of pointing it out, is that it forces you to play fair and build a deck that has like a fully fleshed out curve and punishes those people that are only running at more the high end and trying to do sort of like ramp strats. As far as that argument is structured, I think it's a little bit wrong. And I do agree that like this is very feast or famine-y. I don't know if I agree with Bonk's assessment. I think that the stat line is maybe close to fine. It's really hard to say because, again, the feast or famine problem.
I mean, the stat line doesn't matter that much, so it's
Yeah.
like you're just going to be using the active on this every turn.
Mm.
And it's in the weird place where like your opponent either doesn't need to remove it because they have that one lost card, or they can't because they're spending all their mana into this thing to play anything.
Yeah. Okay. Swieca's Guardian is a 4-drop strength 4/2 wax golem from Lux with rebound and summon dual target unit. So this is, wow, this is potentially actually very powerful. This is a sort of reminiscent, honestly, of the old Woollyland Wolves to me. At least that's kind of the vibe I get from it. It's a drop and duel kind of thing. But yeah, the typing feels kind of weird because this could have been a Woollyland Wolf or maybe even a Samurai, the way the Samurai have been going. Of course, this would be playing into the theme that they've been establishing for Lux in terms of rebound and having rebound effects. I think this is really, really powerful. This is basically a kill spell with rebound, of course, with the restriction that you can only do it on or it only is only going to get you up to 4 points of damage. How do we feel about this? Bonk, I'll let you start.
First of all, I'm just to annoy Spike if he sees this. No tomb can hold me. And now for the card itself. Rebound deal 4 damage. Pretty good.
Yeah. Do you think this is too powerful? Do you think this needs a scale back or what?
No, this is perfect.
You think it's perfect?
I think it's fine too.
Okay. You don't even feel it's a little pushed, maybe.
No, it is not pushed.
Pushed in a good way, maybe.
No, it is not pushed at all. It is perfectly balanced and perfectly useful.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's a little pushed, but I do still think it's fine.
I think it's interesting. It's sort of an interesting design choice that they bothered with a second HP on it. Like you might be trying really hard to get it to stick. I don't think you will realistically, but I could be wrong.
I mean, in some situations, you are going to want to have like a full 1 blocker on board.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, because that duel is a must, and it doesn't have like an ally or anything, or it doesn't protect allies.
You do like some 1 attack unit on your opponent's side.
Yeah, or a place, get rid of a place, but yeah. But that's again your opponent's the one controlling when you can use that effect. So the Null Form is a 4-drop mind action from Hallucinogenica with silence a unit. It loses its tribes and becomes a 1/1 and a hallucination. So this is Frogify, basically. Kind of Magic the Gathering kind of thing does a lot of effects like this that are usually 2 or 3 mana. Turn a thing into a useless little chump blocker. And it's good that we're considering getting us one of these, and I think this is a decent, nice, balanced way to do this. Honestly, as far as my previous gripes about Hallucinogenic and flavor, this feels totally on brand for them. I really feel what's going on here in terms of what they have established lore-wise, and so I really like this design. And I feel like this is a great place for it to go because I can't think of another place for it to go, which I know was one of the original thoughts they had. Empty, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I think this is about the right spot for this card. It's like it's a little bit worse than hard removal in some ways, since they do get a 1/1 out of the deal, but it does like silence and banish it and remove its tribes, just make it as useless as possible.
Yeah.
In that 1/1. Yeah.
What do you think, Bonk?
I actually do not know why it is doing so bad.
What's it doing? What's it sitting at? Oh yeah, it's sitting at 0.
Wow.
Yeah, guys, come on. I'm standing up
issue-
for a realm I don't like. And it's a 0.
It may be too close to a Hearthstone card.
No, because every game has an effect like this. Every single one.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna make the case that this is a magic card. This is Ichthyomorphosis from the new Theros, but it costs 1 more. There you go. This isn't a Hearthstone card.
Yeah, but polymorph costs 4 mana.
I mean, keep in mind in this game, hard removal, like destroy a unit, is pretty much like that for mana as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's balanced and totally fine. But like I'm trying to guess why it has 0 votes.
Yeah, and I'm just drawing a blank, honestly.
Oh, so
Empty-
Stranger, I think you missed the card.
I did?
Rapterre.
Oh, I did miss a card. Okay, yeah.
Bro.
Sorry, guys. We're jumping back up to Empty's picks with the Rapterre, which is a 3-drop mine 3/4 dinosaur from Unguia, Land of the Dinosaurs. And when a unit enters your hand without being drawn, discounted by 1. Now, this is very interesting because this was me and Pop who were talking about this on the Discord. And we both had the same general complaint, and I don't feel it got very addressed. And that I don't really understand how the package works together. The idea is supposed to be this is like a tunneler, this is a digging thing, so it helps things get around, and that was kind of the thing. But I feel like the problem with a lot of the Ungui cards is if you handed me a bunch of arts and flavor text and names and text boxes, I would do basically random guessing to match them up. Like, I don't think I can do much better than that. Ignoring the flavor package, the actual card, I think, is really, really cool and really, really clever. This encourages you to do stuff like bounce, to do stuff like creating tokens. This would like almost fit in like a non-native type build. And reminds me, of course, of a card I used to have a while ago that never got in that I wanted to do for like Carthian. What were your comments on it, Empty, and why did you pick it?
I have a love-hate relationship with this card. It's ridiculously overpowered. However, it's ridiculously overpowered in a deck I like to play, which is food. So you run this with Billionaire Purchase, and then all the tokens cost 0 mana.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is completely nutty. I don't think this current version should get into the game because of that. It's too OP.
So yeah, I think that's probably my fault a little bit for for not talking enough about the actual mechanical considerations when we were talking about it on the Discord. Yeah, I see your problem that for a lot of like token swarm decks, this is bad. This is just bonkers. Bonkers too powerful. And then you just slap down whatever other else. Yeah, I don't even think honestly you need food. I think you just need a copy of Belfry, Void Belfry, and then there you go. I mean,
why not run both at that point? You have plenty of token generators.
Yeah, just ship it. Like, you don't need anything else. And I just don't feel the Unguia here. Like, I get, okay, yeah, let's do some mine dinos, but I don't feel it. That's just a personal thing. Like, I'm trying to make a criticism that I can explain and that is objective, and it just kind of falls short here. And so maybe I'm being biased, and y'all can hate on me in the comments. Bonk, what do you think?
I think you forgot one thing to mention. Rebound.
Yeah, rebound. This works good with rebound.
I'm pretty well. Like put this with isn't shifted, and there you go. Your one cost actions now have rebound and go 0 when they come back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Running this in like you know what? If you wanted to do tribal dinosaurs, splashing this in, this gets one of your mines off for Essence Shifter.
This
And
will
then
definitely be the nuts in Legacy.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there are too many things that break this. Just totally break it. Just because the particular condition it does. I'm not sure though. I don't know. This is I mostly agree with Empty here.
I just want to know why it is a 3/4 for 3.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
kind
it
of
is a good
aggressively
stat line,
statted
too.
too. Or what were you saying, Empty?
Yeah, I agree with Bonk. It has a really good stat line to go along with it.
Yeah. Okay, now for what is truly the last pick. This is actually Bonk couldn't think of a fourth one, so I kind of helped pick one for Bonk. Mala Galaz the Fool is a 1-drop strength 1/1 Nightling from Swieca. With summon, give target unit Entomb, create Mala Galaz the Fool in hand. So this is the this is interesting. This is actually the effect that was on that Ooze Lord that just got in, basically, right? But
No.
or similar. The other one did return. This does just create a copy in hand. And this is just the Mook that will never die. It reminds me honestly of Squee from Magic the Gathering. In it that it has the same kind of like keeps coming back type thing. And it just, two of these obviously create a chain that's pretty hard to break without like board-based, like a full board wipe. This is just really, really interesting and weird. And knowing the designer probably was inspired a bit by maybe Squee or something else. What do you think about this, Bonk?
I want one that you can sacrifice forever.
Yeah. In sack decks, this is crazy.
And it just goes on and on and on. Only stopping it is silence.
Yeah. Anything else, sir?
No.
Yeah, potentially really problematic in sack decks, I agree. Or well, problematic, not in an unbalanced way, just really, really good in sack decks. Although I'm sure there's other things you could find to play with it. It's just a matter of figuring out what. Empty, what do you think of this?
It's very strong. I mean, getting like this many chump blockers for 1 mana really isn't something to be ignored. Like mid range is very dominant right now, and a lot of those decks are going to have a hard time getting through this because it's just going to generate you so many chump blockers. You'll just be able to chump them endlessly. Outside of that, like you said, sack decks, although those are kind of killed off by rotation. But like if those ever come back, this will absolutely be like a must include in those decks.
Yeah.
I think it'll see a lot of play if it gets in.
It's sitting at 10, so it's in a relatively good place to get in. And I guess we'll just have to see. I do like the art. Art's really cute on that guy. So yeah, now that I've fixed my little mistake there, I do think we're good to cut the share. So that was good. That was an interesting week, and it was really, really nice having you on, Bonk. Never had you on before, so that was nice. Thank you to Empty Folder, as always, for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thank you to Bonk.
No need to thanks.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. And so with that, I think we're done. Like, comment, and subscribe to remind me why I'm doing this. And keep on playing collective and keep on voting on cards. Bye.